Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Him Korsura and here's what we've lined up for you on Speed News today. Gaza's civil authorities claim that at least 15 people have been killed and dozens wounded in southern Gaza. They claim that Israeli forces used tanks and drones to target a gathering near the Al-Alam roundabout in Al-Mawasi area, northwest of Rafah. The incident has sparked concern over the escalating violence in the densely populated areas. Now, the man suspected of throwing Molotov cocktails during a pro-Israel demonstration in Boulder, Colorado, has been charged with a federal hate crime and several state charges, including 16 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Solomon was produced before the court virtually from jail, where the judge kept Solomon's bail bond at $10 million and kept the matter for the 5th of June. Trump labeled the incident a horrific attack and an act of terrorism that will not be tolerated in the United States. He attributed the suspect's presence in the country to President Biden's open border policy and pledged to prosecute all acts of terrorism to its fullest extent. US Second Lady Usha Vance recently shared her positive experiences during a visit to India, highlighting the country's rich culture and strong ties with the United States. Speaking at the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum in Washington, D.C., Vance described her trip with her husband, Vice President J.D. Vance, and their 3 children as the trip of a lifetime and said that this is a time of opportunity in bilateral ties with India. Polling is currently underway in the snap presidential election in South Korea, with millions of voters casting their ballots to choose a new leader. The campaign has pitted Lee Jae-myung, the candidate of the centrist Democratic Party, against Kim Woon-soo, who represents the Conservative People's Power Party. The snap election is being held after 6 months of turmoil triggered by a shock martial law imposed by former leader Yoon Suk-yeol, a conservative, who was ousted and is now facing a trial. Polls opened at 6 a.m. local time and will close by 8 p.m. More than a third of the 44.39 million eligible voters cast their ballots during early voting last Thursday and Friday. The National Election Commission will certify the result on the 4th of June. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has called for a parliamentary confidence vote to demonstrate support for his pro-EU government following nationalist Karol Nawrocki's presidential election win. Nawrocki won the election with a 51% of the vote, promising to oppose Tusk's progressive agenda on abortion and LGBTQ rights. He won Sunday's runoff in the highly polarized EU and NATO member state with 51% of the vote to 49% of Tusk's liberal ally Rafal Trzaskowski. In a televised address, former EU chief Tusk said that he wanted the confidence vote soon and vowed to stay on, adding that the election will not change anything. He called for a technical government of experts to replace the current one. Healthcare professionals in Argentina are taking the streets to demand improved salaries and working conditions. Residents of the Carajan Hospital held a candlelight demonstration at the Obelisk Monument in Buenos Aires, urging the government to provide a concrete proposal to address their salary concerns. Despite the government announcing a raise to $1,101 starting the 1st of July, medical professionals remain dissatisfied. They rejected the proposal of a bonus of $254, calling it insufficient and non-remunerative. Resident doctors who currently earn less than $677 in their first year claim they are struggling to make ends meet. They complain they have to work multiple shifts in jobs and earn a decent salary, leading to exhaustion and compromising patient care. Widespread demonstrations and roadblocks have brought Bolivia to a standstill as supporters of former President Evo Morales and farmers take to the streets of Cochabamba to demand action from the government. Morales, who ruled Bolivia from 2006 to 2019, has challenged his exclusion from the 2025 presidential election, sparking protests and traffic stoppages across the country. The protests, which began on the 2nd of June, are aimed at the country's worsening economic crisis and the current government's response to it. The Red Ponchos, which is a Bolivian indigenous group, also took to the streets of Lambasts to protest ongoing fuel shortages that are severely impacting the country's agricultural sector. Newark Liberty International Airport is set to increase flights next week after a runway reopened nearly 2 weeks ahead of schedule. The Federal Aviation Administration says it plans to boost arriving flights to 35 per hour from 28, starting the 10th of June. United Airlines, which operates nearly 70% of the airport's flights, has sharply cut flights but says consumers can book with confidence. The FAA has ordered a reduction in flights last month due to runway construction, but with the reopening, flights are expected to return to normal by the 10th of June. Malik Ahmed Khan, the Speaker of Pakistan's Punjab Assembly, has sparked controversy by defending LET's Deputy Chief Saifullah Kasuri, a US-designated terrorist linked to the Pahalgam terror attack. Khan defended Kasuri, stating that he should not be judged without a proper investigation and accused India of falsely blaming Pakistan. Khan was seen attending a rally alongside LET Deputy Chief Kasuri and Saeed, son of LET founder Hafiz Saeed, raising fresh concerns about Pakistan's relationship with terrorist organizations. Punjab police have arrested Gagandeep Singh, a resident of Tan, allegedly sharing sensitive information with Pakistan's inter-services intelligence, and Khalistani supporter Gopal Singh Chawla, who is based in Pakistan. A massive eruption of Mount Etna, one of Europe's most active volcanoes, sent a towering plume of ash and gas into the air. The explosion was captured on video, showing the dramatic cloud rising high above the Sicilian landscape. According to the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, the cloud was likely caused by a collapse of material from the northern flank of the southeast crater. According to reports, the eruption has not affected the operations of the nearby Catania airport. A massive plume of smoke from Canadian wildfires is blanketing the eastern United States, affecting air quality and visibility. According to satellite images, the smoke is drifting southward, impacting several states, including Minnesota and North Dakota, where air quality has reached unhealthy levels. The fires, which are burning in Alberta, Manitoba and Saskatchewan, have already burned hundreds of thousands of hectares of land, forcing thousands of people to evacuate their homes. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has warned that the situation is worsening, with nearly 5,000 people evacuated and over 400,000 hectares of land burned in the province alone. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake hit the Marmaris area in southwestern Turkey early on Tuesday, resulting in one teenage fatality and injuring dozens. The victim, a 14-year-old girl, died from a panic attack, while around 70 people were hurt in the Mughla province as they rushed to safety. According to the Interior Minister, there were no initial reports of building destruction. The dollar touched a 6-week low on signs of fragility in the US economy because of damage from the trade war President Donald Trump's administration is waging. While global equity markets have broadly recovered in the wake of the on-again, off-again saga of Trump's tariff threats, the greenback remains firmly on its back. Factory and jobs data in the United States in the coming days may give further signs of the toll that trade uncertainty is wreaking on the world's biggest economy. US duties on imported steel and aluminum are set to double to 50% starting on Wednesday, the same day the Trump administration expects countries to submit their best offers in trade negotiations. Oil prices ticked up in the early days due to concerns about supply. Reports suggest Iran is set to reject a US nuclear deal proposal that would be key to easing sanctions on major oil producer, while weakness in the dollar also supported prices. Brent crude futures gained 0.32% on trade, around $64 a barrel. US crude oil traded around $63 a barrel. Both contracts gained nearly 3% in the previous session after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies agreed to keep output increase in July at 411,000 barrels a day. That's less than some in the market had feared and the same hike as the previous 2 months. Australia's independent wage-setting body raised the national minimum wage by 3.5% effectively on the 1st of July. That's a real wage increase of about 2.6 million workers on the lowest pay as inflationary pressures ease in the economy. The minimum rate will rise $16.19 per hour. Headline consumer price inflation held at 2.4% in the first quarter, comfortably within the Reserve Bank of Australia's target band of 2% to 3%. And having come down from the 7.8% peak in late 2022. The Reserve Bank of Australia cut interest rates on a 2-year low last month as cooling inflation at home offered scope to counter rising global trade risks. China's factory activity in May shrank for the first time in 8 months, according to a private sector survey. That indicates US tariffs are now starting to directly hurt the manufacturing superpower. China's Premier Li Qiang said last week that the country is mulling new policy tools, including some unconventional measures which will be launched as the situation evolves. Employment in the manufacturing sector declined at the sharpest pace since the start of this year. Output prices have fallen for 6 straight months due to intense market competition.